Hey everyone, welcome to season 3. This is Shauna.
And this is Rosalina, and we're your hosts for Too Young for This Shit podcast. This podcast is not just about boobs, but a journey with cancer. We are young millennials, open about giving you our raw and unfiltered look into our lives. We are in no way medical professionals, nor are we offering medical advice. Any medical references are cited directly from public websites or from our personal diagnosis. Some topics and stories may be triggering to those who are fighting, have fought, or have loved someone with cancer.
Hey everyone, this is Shauna. Welcome to our first voice memo mini episode. This was a project that I was really passionate about bringing into season 3, and we're so pumped to share it. This week, we're sharing our listeners' answers to the question, what does advocacy mean to you? These are the incredible answers we received.
Hello, please leave a message after the tone.
Hello, my name is Natasha Iwa, and what does advocacy mean to me? So I always preach that advocacy does not have a particular tone to it, and I think that society has reared us to believe that in order to be an advocate, your advocacy is always loud. But I'm a true believer that advocacy can be behind the scenes. Advocacy can be loud. It can also be quiet. It can also be somewhere in between. But I believe that advocacy is the capacity to speak up for someone, for a community, for a cause in a way that highlights the central problem, to be able to bring awareness to what the issue is. And then I believe that the next step to advocacy is being able to connect that need to the resources that will help them to fill that need, right? Or to meet a deficit. And then some ways that a person can be an advocate is to, one, practice asking questions without guilt, and practice challenging studies and science and statements also without guilt. Because if you can't ask questions and you can't push the envelope, it does make it a lot more difficult to be able to bring awareness to problem areas without feeling like you're stepping over someone's toes.
Hi, this is Veronica. For me, advocacy means taking an active role in my healthcare and ensuring care for those who come after me is better and accessible, especially for Latinas. Representation matters for Latinas in the breast cancer community because it gives us a voice in shaping healthcare policies that impact cancer patients and survivors. Taking an active role in ensuring everyone, regardless of financial circumstances, has access to affordable and equitable treatments. Some ways you can be an advocate include sharing your story to help dismantle the stigma that may exist with cancer, joining or creating groups to build community, collaborating with other organizations to amplify message regarding healthcare policy, and fundraising for legitimate nonprofit cancer organizations, and so much more.
Hi, Too Young for This Shit podcast. My name is Michelle Kong, and I just wanted to say that I love you guys so much, and I listen to your podcast when I'm stuck in LA traffic. I really wish you guys were around when I was diagnosed a few years ago. When it comes to breast cancer advocacy, it holds a personal meaning for me. Rather than striving to touch the entire world through so many different efforts, for me, advocacy means sharing my own story and utilizing my unique strengths to make a difference, even if it impacts just one person. Advocacy doesn't have to be extravagant or showy. It can be as simple as helping one person feel less alone during his or her journey. In terms of ways we can be an advocate, one, first and foremost, advocate for yourself and your health. Speak up when something doesn't feel right, and don't ever feel afraid to open dialogues with your doctors and non-healthcare professionals that you encounter throughout your journey. Two, share your story. If social media and being public isn't your thing, you can always do this with your friends, family, and people within your circle. There's so much power in sharing your story, and it doesn't have to be so public. And three, you can be an advocate in your community by supporting someone going through a diagnosis, volunteering, fundraising, etc. And I'll end with this. When we all come together in advocacy, our collective voice and power can make a difference.
Hi, my name is Scott Capozza, and there's a couple of thoughts that I have on advocacy. If you're the patient, you need to be able to empower yourself through education. And that might mean making sure that you're following credible sources on social media and also reading evidence-based posts and articles. You want to make sure that what you are reading is based in research and that whoever is presenting this information has evidence and guidelines to be able to back that up. The patient should be able to take that information and be able to bring that to their providers and be able to take notes and maybe bring somebody with them, bring a second set of ears, so to speak, to be able to help process all of that information because it can be so overwhelming to receive a lot of information from the provider at one time. If you are a healthcare provider working with somebody with cancer, it's really important for us to be able to work on the local, the state, and the national level to not just increase awareness of the needs of the patient, but to actually take actionable steps to institute change. And that might include mentoring future providers on the needs of patients, presenting at conferences, talking with our legislators about bills that cover necessary and wide-ranging costs of treatment, and getting on those panels to be able to establish or rewrite practice setting guidelines so that we can protect the patient and protect their dignity as they move forward. And ultimately, I feel that those of us who have a lived experience of cancer, it's our responsibility to advocate for the patient who is diagnosed tomorrow. We have to take those lived experiences and be able to empower our fellow survivors as we all move through this journey.
What does advocacy mean to me? For me personally, advocacy just means speaking up. You can speak up for your family, for your friends, for an organization, for a cause that you are really passionate about, or you can speak up for yourself. But the fact that you are using your voice to speak up for yourself or speak up for others, that to me is what advocacy means. And a very easy way to do that is to share your story, share your personal experience, whether it's breast cancer or it's something else that you're passionate about or it's something else that you identify very closely with. If you can use your voice to speak up and say how this issue or how this thing that you're talking about has impacted you, or if you can speak up for a friend or a family member that is struggling to do that for themselves, that is one of the easiest ways that you can be an advocate. And although it might seem very small, it can be very, very impactful for you to use your voice to speak up, especially for yourself.
To me, advocacy, particularly within the cancer community, means giving your voice to the issues. We all have the power of our own individual stories. They are unique and provide a new perspective. Whether you are a caregiver, previvor, survivor, or thriver, or someone who identifies as BIPOC, LGBTQ, or other important identities, your story matters. There are so many ways to advocate. We often think of the loud, more in your face type of advocacy like BCAM walks, strutting a runway, or even sharing your story publicly on social media. But your advocacy can still be impactful in other ways, like sharing the importance of prevention, such as encouraging friends or family members to give themselves self exams, or if they're the right age, to get mammograms, or genetic testing for those that might be at risk. Being open about your story in the local community, fundraising for organizations that actually support us as breast cancer survivors, or even advocating for your own care with your doctors. Advocacy is so far reaching, and so I encourage anyone to think about ways that they feel comfortable making an impact. It's about stepping up, even if that way feels small, rather than standing down.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Brooks, and Advocacy is something that is really important to me personally. I think that it goes far beyond just expressing how you feel and kind of your opinions on your direction of treatment. I think it's making sure that you are heard and you're understood in your feelings and to make sure that it is acted upon, most importantly. I think it's important for fighters and survivors alike to share our experiences. That way, we can help others not feel so alone, but also maybe give others the encouragement to speak up when they want to see something be done differently. A way that people who have not personally experienced breast cancer, they can amplify our stories and share them and help us be heard and really help us be understood. Advocacy to me just goes so far beyond the surface. It's not just saying, hey, I want this or I prefer this. It's making sure that you are heard and understood for your reasonings and that people move forward in the desired direction.
To me, advocacy, particularly in the context of being a breast cancer survivor and in the cancer community, for me, it means to speak up. It's to actively and passionately support the needs and the well being of the people who are affected by breast cancer. So, in my case, as a survivor, my advocacy involves sharing my story through my posts in social media. I help raise awareness about breast cancer. I promote a lot of early detection through my journey, through my stories, through my posts. And I also support the people who are currently battling the disease. Either these are the people who I know or the people who message me. And it's also one of the reasons why I keep posting, because I hope that a lot of the people who would need to read that story would reach me through my posts in social media. So ultimately, advocacy for me serves as a powerful catalyst for change.
To me, advocacy means listening to your body, talking to professionals that believe in your symptoms, researching, bringing that research to medical professionals, and really being a voice for your own health and success.
To me, advocacy means continuing to speak up for myself and for others to truly make a positive and significant impact on other people's lives in the most meaningful way. To continue to learn and educate so that anyone going through cancer is seen and heard and supported.
Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to leave us a message. We loved hearing your thoughts on advocacy. We can't wait to share more messages as they come in. As a reminder, we're still looking for submissions. This week on the podcast, we spoke to our guest Trish about pinkwashing and big corporations profiting off our pain, especially during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So for our next episode, which is airing next Friday, we want to know, what advice would you give to individuals or organizations who want to support breast cancer awareness? You can follow the link in our show notes or in our Instagram bio to leave us a message. A very special thanks to our podcast producer, Bethany Allard, and our podcast editor, Ayla Anderson.
Thank you all for listening and supporting our podcast. Sharing our stories with you has been incredibly healing for both of us, and we hope it helps other women in their journeys through breast cancer.
Ladies, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and fellow breasties. Help us reach more women by subscribing and rating us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at TYFTS Podcast and email us at tyftspodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys, so shoot us a message. We will link any resources from the episode in our show notes.